The Mission Impossible franchise has supposedly come to an end with The Final Reckoning, but how is it done at the box office? And is the near 3 hour long movie worth the watch, or is it a bit of a slog? Following the film's opening weekend, Tom Cruise has put out a thank you message thanking those who helped create the film and also to the fans who watched it over that weekend. And if we go down this Variety article here, we can see that it made around $200 million on that 4 day Memorial Day weekend, which is always a big one for the box office. At this time, we also have Lilo and Stitch being released on the same day as well, which made 341, which it's no surprise really that Lilo and Stitch has beat Mission Impossible in that sense, because it's a family film. It's a film which will attract more tickets, more people, obviously family, more people, but also Mission Impossible. They're trying to make out it is the last one, but I think there are still quite a few, looks at it thinking, I don't know about that. I mean, for such a big franchise with Tom Cruise, are you really going to end it now? Like, nah, 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 nah. Are they going to do something later down the line to possibly help, reinvent the franchise so it can live on without Tom Cruise? I think that's going to happen because this is a big franchise. Why would they let it die with Tom Cruise? He is now in his 60s. They're going to have to do something where he has to become more of a mentor, probably. But I think one of the big things about Mission Impossible is that he's always done his own stunts. That is the big sort of draw to these films. Like, you could watch a lot of rubbish, but then eventually, oh my god, he's risking his life to entertain us. And so whatever they do in the future, that will have to be part of the core for Mission Impossible. So as this article states, this was a record-breaking franchise start for Mission Impossible. It's also a record Memorial Day weekend with the combined earnings of Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. There's the message from Tom Cruise, but we're getting into this franchise in terms of is the quality there? Will it actually get more than it's earned in this opening weekend? Can it have those legs needed to maybe get to $1 billion? Because the budget for this film is around $400 million. So it's going to need close to that to get, make a profit. And I do struggle to see if it's going to reach those levels, but it's obviously a great start. But I do feel in terms of quality, Mission Impossible Fallout was the peak for this franchise. This film, I think, struggled quite a bit just to try and get people back into it, because the first hour of this movie is just so exposition heavy. It's tiring. It's like there's so much information, so much stuff about the entity. I don't want to hear that word ever again. It does eventually get better, in the midpoint of the movie. As it's nearly a 3 hour film, it's sort of split into three parts. The first hour is really dreadful because there's just so much. You just have to listen. All the waffle they're talking, like, oh my god, can we just get to what we're here for? Especially considering this was, at one point going to be a part two. It's going to be Dead Reckoning Part 2, but then they changed it to The Final Reckoning. I was surprised how much we needed, of catching up they needed to put in here, and so much harking back to the older films. And then in the middle, it then starts to find its feet a bit, but still not perfect. But then, as we get towards a submarine sequence, and also the eventual final stunt with the biplanes with Tom Cruise, that action scene was definitely worth watching. But it's pretty tiring to get to that point. It's like, okay, that was awesome, but I think a lot of people, when they stick this on their TV, when it comes to streaming or on physical media, they're going to be thinking, well, should we even bother continuing this? Like, for me, if I want to watch this film again, I'll probably fast forward that bit and just get to, when they start the mission properly. But having said all that, like, once you're in the cinema, you're in the cinema. A lot of people, I think, knowing what's coming, they're not going to leave the cinema, not going to actually exit the screening because of how awful that first hour is. I think they will, they will stick with it, considering they paid a lot of money to go and watch it, and they bought the popcorn and whatever else. So I think it will last with that. And the main thing with any film is how you leave the audience. Is it on a good note or on a sour note? It's on a good note. Thankfully, it wasn't the last hour which was the worst one. Actually leaving with that memory in their mind of, oh wow, that was some pretty amazing action. But it was still amazing action, but the story still is lacking. There are things with this movie where You do have the villain from the last film back again, and he's still pretty weak. So there are things again which it's not perfect, and I think it's a film where I expected more, considering it was supposed to be this big two-parter. I thought, okay, they got something up their sleeve here, but it just felt like it felt a bit underwhelming.
Is that it?
So did this film need to be nearly 3 hours long? No. They could have easily cut out a lot of this stuff. There's a lot of scenes which didn't even need to be there. Like, it wouldn't have made a big difference if they weren't there. Yeah, they should have thought that through, because, why make your audience knackered before you get to the really cool stuff? If you had something interesting to say, go for it. And I thought, as this is the last film, it is part of at the start, originally a two-parter. I thought they had a better story planned. It's like, okay, let's do something about AI with the entity. We have this villain, but they didn't really know where to go with it. I think also AI, there's so many possibilities, and you could do so many different things. It just feels a bit like they had too many options, maybe. But Tom Cruise is, he's the star of the film, and he is potentially the last movie star going now, and he does bring that star power and obviously the action scenes, very incredible stunt work. The team he has is a bit like, Vin Diesel's family these days with Fast and Furious, and even like The Boys a bit as well, with these players on the board with Simon Pegg, Haley Atwell, and just name a few. And they're fine, but they're really only fine. Like, they don't go anywhere else than that. Like, and none of them really stick out for having any great sort of little stories within the film. So although the film does end on a high, I still did feel quite shortchanged with watching a film of this length, only getting really the last 40 minutes of enjoyment. And so, do I hope this is the last Mission Impossible? No, I hope we do get another one, because I feel like this is a bit of a whimper for a final movie of a franchise like this. So yeah, I was quite disappointed. It's interesting though, a lot of the Rotten Tomatoes scores are positive, especially the audience. So people are liking it, but I think a lot of that is because when you get those scores, like for the cinema score, for example, they ask, just as people are coming out, they will be happy. But if they look back on it, I think, and if you ask them a question, all right, do you want to go back in and watch it again? I think, but well, no, maybe that last 40 minutes, but not all the rest. No way. Like, it really is bad. I'm not sort of trying to, underplay this. This was very, very bad. First hour in particular, it was just so boring. So yeah, I can't really recommend it, like I can with Dead Reckoning and with Fallout. I think if you are a Mission Impossible fan though, it's if it is potentially the last one, you have to really go and see it, just to maybe just for closure really, but also because the last 40 minutes at least are worthwhile. There's a lot of fun cameos as well, but a film can't stand on just that. It can't just stand on a good final act and a few fun cameos. It needs to provide more than that, especially for its length. But anyway, I'm going to start rambling about that. It's done obviously a great record in its opening weekend. Let's see how far it can go. I mean, by the time you're watching this, you might already know how well the film has done in its whole box office run. So, yeah, we'll see how it does. But let me know your thoughts on Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. I know this is just a very quick review, and I'll get more out very soon on other films such as Karate Kid Legends and also Ballerina, a John Wick movie as well. So, all those are coming up soon. So, do subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed it. Take care. Thank you for watching. And also, if you want to watch another video, on screen are a couple of my other reviews.